Can I ask you, what are your feelings about Brexit at the moment?
To sum it up, it's a shambles. Frankly, it's not really good enough, the way that the Prime Minister has been fumbling around for a deal for such a period of time now, and it's insufficient, doesn't support the benefit of the people, unfortunately.
So your gut feeling is?
My gut feeling is we're going to crash and burn out of the EU, now that we've got an extended deadline which no one wanted, due to the fact that we had an initial referendum that no one also wanted initially.
Is there any funny side to Brexit that you can see, or is it past the joke now?
It was funny initially when everyone thought that it would be something that would cause a lot of interest and debate, which it did, but I don't think it's a joke anymore due to the financial implications it's going to have on us as well as the rest of Europe.
What are your feelings about Brexit at the moment?
Well, I think we've all had enough. My opinion is I voted to come out, and that's it. Why don't they vote in Parliament just to come out? We didn't vote for a deal with anybody. So that's my opinion.
So your gut feeling is?
To come out without a deal, that's it.
I am and always have been a very strong Remainer, and at the moment I'm just hoping that somehow we find a way out of the quagmire that we're in that keeps us in the European Union. How's that?
Yeah, that's great. And can I ask, what are your gut feelings about Brexit? About the way that it's been dealt with?
I think the entire 2.5 last years have been a bit of a nightmare, really. And I'm hoping that we might be able to wake up from it to some extent in the coming days and weeks.
Is there any funny comedy about Brexit, or is it just past the joke?
I think it's dark comedy. Yeah, I have found the whole thing has been a great source for cartoonists, for comedians of all sorts. But it's time just to knuckle down and get the whole thing, well, just put to bed one way or the other.
So you're American tourists visiting Cambridge,
Right.
Yes.
and can I just ask you, what do you think about Brexit?
We're both a little confused by it. We listen to it on the news, and I've seen where they voted on it. Now they're want to vote on it again. So I'm really kind of confused by the whole thing.
I totally agree with him. And since I've been here, I've asked 2 people to explain it to me in 20 words or less. And after about 20 words, I actually stopped listening because I'm very confused. I can't tell whether it's good for the country or if it's bad for the country. And of course, I would only want what was good for the country. My mother was born here, and I care about, England and Cambridge and the whole, how it affects everyone. So that's all I know but to say.
What are your feelings about Brexit?
Well, I'm disgusted with the whole thing. We should have been out by now. And we voted to come out, and out means out. All this business about we want this, all the MPs are having their own agenda, and they're not interested in what the public have said. I mean, if this is an election and people didn't like the result of the election, you couldn't go back and do it all again, could you? So I'm disgusted. My wife is as well.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And I think we should just leave.
Well, for me, it doesn't make sense at all because we're part of Europe and it's a big family and with different characters, obviously, but it makes sense. But then again, I understand what people are thinking about immigration because everywhere in Europe is about immigration. And that's what makes the life of many people who are happy to live and work in this country a mess. Yeah, I think Brexit has ruined my life. I feel that I feel insecure. I don't know where I'm going to be and where I should do, and it feels really uncomfortable.
And can I ask your feelings about Brexit, please?
Totally disillusioned. Democracy, as far as I'm concerned, is now dead. I used to vote Conservative. I've now gone over to UKIP. And I think the trivial question in 10 years' time will be who killed the Conservative Party, and it'll be Theresa May.
Can I ask, what do you think about Brexit at the moment?
I voted to stay in the EU, but now I've sort of lost a bit of interest, really, and I've just lost track of what's going on with the country, to be honest.
I wasn't old enough to vote, and I kind of wish that I was. It really annoyed me. But I've kind of slightly been following it, and it's just an absolute mess, if I'm honest, isn't it, really? Makes you lose interest.
Yeah.
So, is there anything you think is funny about Brexit, or is it just beyond a joke now?
It's hilarious. It's just like so many, the people that are deciding it have no actual clue what they're doing, and it's just rubbish, basically.
Yeah, it's just everyone arguing and no one agreeing on anything.
Everyone just shouting at each other, basically.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
I've got a surprising view, which I think the general chaos is actually an indication of a vibrant democracy. We are divided, we're all shouting and engaged with politics, and instead of saying we're in a mess, I think we should celebrate that we are all sounding off and arguing, our MPs are arguing, our leaders are arguing, and everybody on the streets arguing.
Can I ask, what are your feelings about Brexit this morning?
I'm bored with it and disgusted with our parliamentarians. Get themselves sorted out. Sorry, but I don't read the press too much. I've had enough.
It doesn't matter how you voted, the government is not doing what the people want them to do. It doesn't matter if you wanted to remain or you wanted out. We have got to do what the people wanted. And stop arguing and stop telling lies. Because the people have lost trust in any government. It doesn't matter which one it is, we have lost your trust.
Okay, so what are your feelings currently about Brexit?
I think it's a process. I think there's been moments of chaos and despair with regards to politicians, but then at the same time I'm starting to understand how and why, and there seems to be a thread and a direction emerging. So initially I was very frustrated with it, but then the more I think about it, I think so many divided opinions, very strong opinions. It was never going to be easy. The only thing is, I think maybe all these conversations should have happened maybe a year and a half ago and done all of that and then gone. I think that's the only where I still can't resolve my frustration, but otherwise I think we'll be all right in the end.
What are your thoughts about Brexit?
I think it's a disgrace. I think this town's vote on it and what Nick Boles has done is a disgrace. I don't particularly like the Conservative government. It's not for me, it doesn't represent me, they don't really care about me or my community of people, and I think it's dangerous because they've put on a vote about something that they don't even know what they're doing, and they haven't known what they're doing for 2 years.
What are your feelings about Brexit currently?
Brexit currently is what they're doing now, they should have done 2 years ago. The government are so disloyal. I don't know who I'd vote for next time, and Brexit is, if we knew now what we knew when we voted, well, everybody would have stayed away, I think. That's about it, really.
So your gut feeling is, to sum it up?
My gut feeling is that we should have stayed in, and it's just a total expensive mess.
Can I ask you, what are your feelings about Brexit at the moment?
Tired, fed up with it. I never voted in the referendum, but I just want it to be over and done with. And I blame the politicians totally for being unable to come to some kind of an agreement about it.
There's no easy way out. The European Union really wants to play the long delay to eventually, hopefully, get Britain to revoke Article 50 altogether.
And do you think, is there a funny side to Brexit, or is it just past the joke now?
I mean, it's become a laughingstock for politicians not only in Brussels but also in Berlin and Paris, who really don't understand why people had the referendum in this country in the first place. and it's so clear. If you looked at the previous referendums that this country had, they all had the rule as to what would happen one way or the other as the results came through, but not in the last referendum. And it just shows the kind of contempt that people really had with regard to, it's going to be Remain. Nobody thought about leaving the European Union. And it just shows how implausible to think, what if there was another referendum? What if, again, it didn't turn out the way that politicians wanted it to be? So that's what I think what's going to happen.